Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of All Things BPM with Aaron and Mike. My name is Mike Matter, and I have a special guest with me today, another Aaron Coates. So, before we jump into today's topic, let's hear a little bit more from Aaron and what he does at Omni.
Sure. So I'm a client solutions manager for Omni, and we assist our clients with technology consulting. Anywhere from technology road mapping to custom applications, technology staffing. We also provide with AI and also business process automation, which I believe we're talking about today.
So, today's topic of conversation is return on investment. So you've made a big purchase for a software package related to BPM, or you've just identified the very manual and costly process within your organization that you want to automate. So you know the benefits, but now you need to prove to your management team why it's worthwhile to make the investment into automating this process. And we want to give you some insight and some tools to make that conversation a little bit easier. So today we'll be talking about return on investment related to business process management. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Aaron to talk through some of his strategies and approaches when talking through the same conversation with his clients.
Thanks, Mike. First thing that we do is we sit down with the client to understand what their processes are and make sure that we can help the client automate those processes or integrate their systems. The second thing that we do is we continue to work with that client by walking through each process that the client has. And what we do is identify the manual hours that are being consumed by these processes.
So what are the different ways that you capture manual hours or determine what the manual hours in a process are?
Sure. So as we are walking through the process itself, once we're done with certain phases of that process, we ask the client how many hours they think it takes for that employee to manually enter in that additional information in the system or to try to find that inventory that's sitting in the warehouse that they don't know where it's at.
So if we visualize a process flow with a number of different steps in it, you walk through with the client each of the various steps of that flow and try to figure out what the manual effort is associated with each of those components.
That's correct. So once we identified those hours, then what we do is we put that into an ROI Tearsheet for the client so they can see what the return on investment would be by automating these processes.
Outside of actual manual hours spent, what are some other ways to determine ROI or that ROI can be gathered through?
There's other factors that go into ROI, and they're more soft costs instead of really dollars and cents.
Sure.
There are employee frustration. So obviously, an employee needs to enter the information 2 or 3 different times into a system. That employee gets frustrated. We hear that from our clients a lot. And the other really even the better way is just customer experience. So a return on investment, by automating your systems to communicate back to your client about where their order is in the process or that their order was being shipped today and an estimated delivery date would be November 14th. That there just means a lot to clients around customer experience and business process automation.
So Aaron, you mentioned a tear sheet and using that to help break things down for your clients. Why don't you describe how you go about that process for us?
Yeah, thanks, Mike. So after we gather the information from the client around their processes, we then take that information back and we create a return on investment tear sheet. It's a one-page sheet that we give to the client, and what it does is it provides the client with what the benefits would be if they were to automate these systems. A lot of it is broken down in regards to dollars and cents. So in this example here, this tear sheet gives the client an example that they'll see back $196,000 over a 3-year period of time by automating this process. It also tells the client that they'll start to see this payback in about 5 months. So these are really important when the client is looking to really make a decision: is do we automate this process or not? Is it worth that investment? And it goes into other scenarios. So if the client is looking at a cloud-based solution, what they can save on hosting and storage. It also takes in regards to risk mitigation of factors. So.
I think an important component too is considering the opportunity cost. So the tear sheet is a great tool to kind of show those hard facts, right? The dollars and cents that upper management wants to see when they're signing off on making an investment. But the opportunity costs and kind of the soft benefits that you had mentioned earlier, I think are an important thing to consider as well. The time that our people are spending doing something when they could be investing that time in other activities, or as you touched on, kind of the emotional impact of doing mundane tasks or things that really make them miserable in their day-to-day jobs, and the corresponding impact to retention and things of that nature. So there's a lot of different angles that you can consider when trying to determine return on investment. Obviously, the hard dollars and cents that you outlined here in the tear sheet are of utmost importance when trying to sell a solution up, but also factoring in all those other components I think are really important as well. So Aaron, thank you very much for sharing that information with us.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you, Mike.
So in summary, today we covered a lot of great topics relative to return on investment. We covered manual costs, soft benefits, opportunity costs, and Aaron also did a great job taking us through the tear sheet that's used internally here at Omni. So I hope you learned a little bit about how you can sell up your BPM effort and justify that return on investment. Thanks for joining us for this episode, and we'll see you again next time. Thank you.
Thank you.